This may be one of the most important mastermind series we have done in quite some time. It is going to be about precious metals storage. And there are a lot of questions about the silver ETFs, gold ETFs, and there's also a lot of questions about storage. In fact, on some of the ETFs, like where is it stored? Is it hypothecated? Is it loaned? Is it leased? And then for those that have metals stored in different locations. So basically the outline is going to primarily deal with precious metal storage. It will take place at 10 a.m. Pacific time, which is 1 p.m. Eastern, on November 27th. The outline for this mastermind is to provide a fundamental understanding and overview of vaulting storage services. And we will explain the basics, and we'll get very detailed as well. First of all, defining the unsegregated or unallocated storage, and that's where everyone's metal is commingled or pooled into one group. Allocate means to set apart for special purposes or designate. This can include groupings and commingling for certain products or accounts. And segregate is to separate or isolate from others from a main body or group. And in my opinion, this is one of the more secure ways to professionally store precious metals assets or other assets. There are various forms of ownership, and we'll be going over these as well. Paper certificates, publicly traded securities or funds, digital or internet-based programs, and structured products or accounts. As far as items of concern and distinction, unlike the securities industry, the physical gold and silver community is largely unregulated. We're going to differentiate investments in precious metals between actual ownership and exposure or representation of interest. The actual ownership is no one else's liability or promise. And of course, myself and many, many others have talked about if you can't touch it, you don't own it. But we also all know that there are situations where there's a great deal of metal held by not only an individual, but certain accounts or funds or whatever that really need to store the metal. So there are reasons for precious metal storage. In our view, a successful investment approach must have certain characteristics. We like to see that it's flexible and simple. We do not want to see any exotic financial instruments surrounding the precious metals. In other words, we don't want to see a derivative on top of the metal or beside it or next to it or underneath it. I'm trying to be funny here, but I think you get what I mean. We want direct investment to the metal with no in-between derivatives. Avoid paper promises in exchange for the real asset. Utilize and activate sound money principles and practices. Finally, we're going to talk about reading the storage contract and looking for the right words, such as segregated storage. And lastly, understanding the insurance policy protecting the assets. Some cases, the assets that are being protected are fully insured at metals prices that were great 2 years ago or 3 years ago, but they do not cover the full asset value in paper terms currently. No one's going to tell you that directly, and some of these storage facilities may not even be aware of it, but it's something you need to be aware of if you are either thinking of having your metals stored or have it stored already, and also what the policy covers and doesn't cover. So that's an outline of everything, and of course at the end will be questions and answers. So normally these masterminds are about 45 minutes in length and leaving the last 15 minutes for questions and answers. This one's going to be pretty much open-ended, but it's one time, we're going to try it, where the general public that wishes to come on board and participate in this is a $100 fee. This is a service that's $1,000 a year or $100 per month if you choose to pay monthly. But we're going to open it up for anyone interested in learning about precious metal storage that wants to be on the call, wants to ask a question or two. You will have the opportunity to be on the call for $100 and a one-time only. In other words, this will be the only mastermind that you want to participate in. It'll be a $100 fee, and you can be there for the call. If you can't be there for a call and you want it, we can set it up where you can have access to the recording for like 30 days, which should be sufficient time for you to listen to the call. And I thank you for all your support of our work at silverinvestor.com.